That's why they held you back, not because of a hat, because you yelled or something?
Yeah, on the ticket, the remarks were I yelled at the judge while court was in session.
Right. So what was the? Tell Bali what the. He didn't know. Bali hasn't talked to me about this. Tell him what the strategy was this time that you and I have talked about.
Put on a write on a piece of paper that I wish not to speak in court for fear of harm to my body, and if I speak to, last time I was here, I got contempt of court, and I wish not to speak, or if I speak too loudly or softly, I wish no harm on my body. I wish everything to be in writing, or I require everything to be in writing from here forward. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Well, you should remember.
It was the only one I had, and I didn't make a copy. I didn't photograph it because I was basically writing it while I was sitting in court.
All right, yeah, that's right. You called me up, and what were you going to put into the court? You called me. It's all about you wanted your property back.
Yes, I have done no wrong. That was when they asked me to plea, and then he who acts on my behalf bears liability, bears all liability.
Right. So then when you called me up, I said, let's change this up a little bit.
Right.
I said to you, the biggest thing is that you should be afraid that you're going to be held in contempt of court. Yeah. Because no matter what you voice, the judge could hold you in contempt because you had a certain inflection. He didn't like your dialect. He didn't like your cadence, your rhythm, your volume, your tone. He could make any reason why that you're in contempt of court. Any reason. And it's absolutely nothing you can do to protect yourself if you open your mouth. So like I say to people all the time, and it's funny, because when they've had a little hearing trial for me in Canada to have me extradited, the number one thing that the prosecutor and judge asks the investigators about me, what's the number one thing that this man tells people to do? What's the number one, most disruptive thing that he tells people to do? And the investigator said, he tells everybody in shows a million times, don't ever speak in court. It's their court. If you go in their court and you say something too loud or too soft, they're going to hold you in contempt of court. The worst thing you can do is speak in their court. It's not your court. Hold your tongue. Put everything in writing. Require leave of court for paper, pen, and ink. Address them always in paper, because that's how they're coming. They're attacking you with a piece of paper. Attack them back with a piece of paper. That's the only way you can do it. They're not coming at you with anybody testifying, so why should you testify? Nobody's testifying in court but you. Nobody's doing anything on or for the record. Everybody's doing everything in writing. The state prosecutor, the crown, everybody's doing everything in writing. Nobody's testifying in court but you. So why testify? Why convict yourself? Why show your belief? Confession. Because if you got a conviction, it's your belief. It's your confession. So why would I convict myself in court? That's ridiculous. Why would I confess? Why would I testify to anything? Why would I tell people what my beliefs are? If I'm having a belief, that's my conviction. Why would I convict myself in court? That's ridiculous. Why would I want to do that? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it in writing. You're coming at me in paper, I'm coming at you in paper. So that's what I was trying to explain to Mark this time. I said, instead of going to the court and, yelling out, is that an order, Judge? Or, whatever he yelled. What did you yell out exactly? F you, Judge, or what did you yell at him?
Is that your order?
Yeah. And that was enough. Okay. You didn't say, was that your order, you fucking judge? I mean, you said that was just your order?
That's all I said. Is that your order? That's the second time I said it, but the first time it was to the bailiff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's pretty simple. So
So they gave me a continuance, and I signed it NA and then my initial, and then I spoke with some of my counsel on the phone after I left the court and realized that I got to go back and put in a notice of rescission and that I see no benefit in continuing this matter. I require immediate restoration of my property. And I drove back to the courthouse, and the court was over. Everybody was leaving. There were a few people left, and the lady that I last spoke with was there. And I walked up to her and gave her the piece of paper, and she said, Gary's in the room, and I said, oh, great. So she gave it back to me. And I walked in the room, sat down on a chair, looked at Gary, and we kind of nodded that I could come up to speak with him. And I walked up and handed him the piece of paper, and he said something that's, do you believe all this letter writing or all this writing is doing you any good? And I didn't answer him, and he filed the piece of paper I gave him, and then I said, can we speak man to man? And he said no. And then he advised me that I need a lawyer, and then he said that that's not legal advice.
Yeah, like I said, the number one thing I would have done, as soon as the man asked me, do you believe that all this paperwork is doing anything? I said, absolutely. That's called Exhibit A. Hey, Bolly, just block everybody, but me, Mark, and you.
Yeah, okay.
We're getting a bad echo over here. Is that better? Yeah, sounds better. But what I'm saying is, it's like I said, this just takes years of knowledge, or just years of understanding what these people are doing to you. But like I said, it's just because it's going to come with practice. When somebody said Bolly's having a lot of fun over in England, I mean, I could tell, man. He was talking to me a little while ago, and it's just funny. And even the people he's battling wits with are laughing, saying, "Oh, this is funny." And like I said, the same thing I would have done. I would have made that guy laugh his ass off. He says, oh, do I believe this paper that I'm generating is working? Oh, absolutely. It's going to work in my case. In your case, you're going to totally ignore it. The judge is going to ignore it. Everybody's going to totally ignore it. In your case, you guys think my paperwork's a total joke. Wait until I open up my case. Wait until I start my case. Wait until I convene my court. Wait until I move a claim against you folks. And then you'll see how effective it is. In your courts, it's not effective at all. It's a total waste of time. It's a total waste of paper, pen, and ink. But it's Exhibit A in my court, and it's going to be dynamite in my court. Your court is a total laugher. I know in your court it has absolutely no effect. It's a total waste of time. I can't use any of this stuff in your court, but you better believe I could use it in mine. If your court won't recognize that common law has precedent, that common law is the supreme law of the land and not your silly codes, you're going to find out. You're going to get a learning. You're going to get a lesson when you step into my court. So, like I said, Bali had a good time, though. He was telling me some lady, what was that he was saying? That the lady was saying, is that you or is that we?
Oh, the national insurance lady, the tax lady.
That story again, because that's pretty funny, man.
Yeah, so basically the lady rang up on the phone, and she just said, oh, by the way, you owe some money from last year in June, and we just wanted to clear the matter up. I believe you wrote some letters.
Tell them what it was for, though. Just go right into it. Tell them that it was for insurance or something like that. You see what I'm saying? You missed everything, I know what you're talking about because we just talked about it, but, try to tell other people what it was.
Yeah, so like in the UK, you have like your tax system, and then we have this additional amount called national insurance, which technically pays for, I don't know, like the hospitals and a few other things and pensions and things. So it's another form of tax. So you got your normal income tax, and then you got this little national insurance tax that comes out of your income as well. And this is the tax department, but the national insurance department. Another department within a department for another tax to bleed the average Joe. But yeah, she rang up and was saying, I basically wrote them a letter in June of last year saying, oh, by the way, I finished this business, but I've got a couple of questions for you to answer. And they never answered them. And it was just using really simple logic, but I couldn't remember too much about the letter when she rang me up, and she just said, oh, and she went down her processed way of thinking, and she said to me, can you tell me when was what date did you stop working? And I said, well, I've already written it to you in a letter. And I said, I can't remember right now because I'm just walking around. You've just rang me on my phone. And she said, oh, okay. So what we'll do is, if you're not sure of the date, we'll make it the 30th of June. And I said, oh, that's amazing, lady. I goes, with all due respect, I goes, do you normally shortchange people? And she said, shortchange people? And I said, yeah, because I told you I wrote the date down, but you think automatically you interpreted that it came out of my mouth that it was the 30th of June. And I didn't say that. And she said, oh, no, but if you, okay, well, I'll ask you again, do you know the date? And I said, well, I'm not a liar. I wrote it down in the letter on purpose so that you knew exactly the date, and I handed it to you. I posted it to you. So you definitely got the letter. I said, have you got the letter in front of you? And she said, no, we don't have all the letters on electronic file. So I said, oh, how convenient. And she said, well, didn't you write it down? And I said, yes, I wrote it down in your letter. And then I sent it to you. She said, well, you know, our protocol is if you're not sure of the date, then it goes to the end of that month. I said, oh, okay, so that's brilliant. So what I'll do is, if you think that you really have to do this, you write it down in my file. And when I find my letter, and it finds out that it turns out to be, say, the 15th of June, which is half a month out from what you wrote, I go, guess who I'm going to sue? And she said, oh, sue? I don't know, the tax office? And I said, oh, right, okay, so do you think Mr. Tax Office typed in the 30th of June on the other side of the computer, on your side of the phone today? And she said, no. And I said, that's right. Who do you think I'm going to sue? And she said, me. And I said, that's right. It'll be the one who typed it in, because I told you and I wrote to you, and what you keep interpreting and doing your own rubbish, that's up to you. And I said, while I'm on the question, I said, I've just remembered what the two questions I asked. Right at the beginning, which you can't find these letters that you seem to have vanished or gone in the dustbin, I said, while you're on the phone, I'm going to get you to answer them. And she said, oh, okay, dare I ask? And I said, well, I'm going to tell you either way. I'm going to ask you the question because you're on the phone anyway. And I asked her, this national insurance contribution, I said, is a contribution. I said, I looked up the word contribution, it says voluntary. So I said, so do I have to even pay this last month of payment? And she said, well, everybody has to pay tax. And I said, that's really nice. Who's everybody? That's not my name. And she said, oh, no, you have to pay. And I said, all right, so who's you? And then it went through that scenario, and then she started laughing, and she was like, oh, I see what you're doing with the words. And I said, oh, okay, right, and that goes to my next question. What law or statute do you think I have to pay? And she said, oh, I've got it here, and I'll read it out to you. And I goes, oh, if you don't mind. So she started reading out the first couple of lines, and I said, I'm going to have to be really rude and stop you right there. And goes, you keep talking about a person. So who's this person? And she said, you. You know, we. All of us have to pay tax. And I said, I don't know what these Japanese names we and you are. I goes, I don't know who they are. And goes, every time I look at my birth certificate, it has my name on it, Ballyman. So who is this other person that you keep going on about, and who are these other people, and what have they got to do with me? And she started laughing her head off, and I really wish I recorded it. I was telling Carl earlier, because she was having so much fun herself. She was learning quite a lot just what I was saying, and I said, right, so let me get this right. So it's voluntary, and she said, no, it's a contribution to your main taxation. And I said, oh, right. And I said, really? So you think the word contribution in there is a voluntary contribution to my taxation, and not for me. It's mandatory for me to pay in, but you to voluntarily take it away. And I said, oh, that's quite interesting. Okay. So when I go to a McDonald's and I ask for a beef burger, you think it's okay to get a horse burger? And she said, no. I said, oh, okay. So don't you have some sort of description, something act, or when you're buying stuff that it is what it is what it says on the tin, that it is what it is on the inside? And she started laughing and she said, oh, right, I see what you mean. You're saying voluntary and then, it being a contribution, but then I'm bringing up today saying you have to pay. So she started laughing her head off, and I said, you see what I mean? I goes, well, you keep talking, and I goes, the more you talk, the more nonsense I hear from you, and I goes, it just makes more and more little sense, and now it's just making a lot of nonsense. I can't understand anything you're saying now, because none of it makes sense, and yet you keep saying that I have to pay this. And then she started laughing and joking, and we had a bit of fun. We were just joking for a while, and then she said, you know what? She goes, this conversation is not going to go anywhere. She goes, I'm just going to do this. You know what? I'm just going to put 0. And she goes, I don't really care anymore. And she goes, I hope you don't have to pay anything. I just started laughing my head off, and she started laughing her head off, and then we said, oh, okay. Then I said, I've only got one more thing to say to you, and she said, oh God, please, what could you say now? And I said, I just wanted to make sure you had a nice weekend, and that's all I want to say. And she started laughing her head off, and I said, thank you. But it was just so hilarious when this lady had been doing her job for a few years, when you actually ask really, really basic questions, it all falls to pieces. And they've clearly been given a script to short change this man and woman on doing some random stuff. And I keep thinking, well, how many people have been screwed by that same process, and people have just not asked the basic question? I mean, short change is a great example of because it's not a massive criminal act, but average Joe on the other side of the phone can understand. Oh, right, yeah, so I might work for this great big shop, but when I do the short changing, who's liable? I'm liable. And it's just a simple, easy way for people to understand. So I'm sorry, guys, I didn't get a chance to record that, but she just rang off this random number, so I didn't realise who I was talking to. Otherwise, I would have hoped he had a bit of good material there. But yeah, that was just one of the things that we had fun this week with. Went down to UK column, just a queue of different problems really. But yeah, we resolved all of them. So just waiting for some sort of response coming back from those letters and stuff that I wrote out. And should be doing I'll find out the dates and stuff, but there should be some sort of Tuesday night talk that I'll be doing on UK column. But yeah, we've got to I've got to speak to Mike Robinson, the editor, to figure out what kind of format and stuff, because some of the stuff he was explaining to me, I thought, well, you know what, I'm just no good at this kind of TV stuff and editing in this kind of way and making it more logical. But it's going to be once a month anyway, so it gives me a chance to prepare. So the first one might be reasonable, but I will promise to try and my best to make it a bit more entertaining for some guys. What else happened? We went to I missed a court hearing for a property matter, foreclosure, and the lady filed a Queen's Bench case, but the county court has put these amazing obstacles in the way, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was quite funny, but also a bit irritating, that they don't have an admin desk. They only have a post box, so whenever you want to file or do anything, you have to put it through this post box, and you have to leave like your phone number. So if somebody wants to ring up and take a card payment, or you put a check with it, and then you just cross your fingers and hope to God that somebody's actually filing this stuff. And so basically, she turned up for her own mortgage case in the UK, in London, and the judge railroaded her, couldn't stop her. And I wrote down a few questions for her, and I said, well, if you can ask a few of these, this will help hugely. So she did the I a woman, and then she asked a few basic questions. And she also asked the judge's name, who said, well, my name is Judge Hussein, and that's all you're getting. And she said, no, I have the right to know what your full name is. And if this is a public hearing, I should know what your full name is. And she refused, out and out refused. And I think she asked her a couple of times, but she refused. So when she came out of the case, she rang me in the toilet as well, halfway through the case, to say I need the toilet, and she rang me and said, I've given an offer, and I paid the offer, and I told them that I can only afford this offer at the moment. So I'm going to pay this for now until I've got some money, and then I'll be more than happy to play over the odds to compensate. But at the moment, this is all I can afford. And the judge just railroaded her and said, you know what, I don't want to hear this. And so general railroading. But I think part of the problem was a couple of little things, because just the way it's kind of presented at the time, just little small things. And also the judge, when she filed the paperwork saying, oh, well, there's another case that's related to this, the judge kind of laughed and said, "Oh, you know, you're not going to get this case heard anyway." And I thought, "Oh, really? That's quite interesting." So, what does she have, some foreknowledge, or she's going to force this through? But yeah, I told her afterwards. I said, "Oh, that's fine. You know what? There was an article I was telling Karl earlier where there was a reporter who went to a county court case in the UK in September of 2013, and what the reporter went to check out this case and asked the usher at the end and said, "Oh, I just want to you know, for a reporter, Rule 101 is always to ask the full names of everybody that's there." So he said, "Can I ask the name of the judge, full name?" And they said, "No, just Judge Smith, that's it." And he said, "Well, you know, I can't just write an article on Judge Smith because there's probably about 50 of them. Does it make any sense?" He said, I need the full name." And they said, "No." And he said, "What do you mean? Why are you saying no for? You've got to give a full name. This is like a courthouse, right?" And he said, "No, we're not going to give it. We don't have to give it. In fact, I'm not giving you mine either." So this reporter got really pissed off, and he wrote to the Royal Courts of Justice, to the press office, and said, "Is that right? Do we this is the power of one letter. That's all this guy did, to be honest. And it's just far-reaching, just the power of one letter." He asked the press office, "Is that right, for these county courts or any judge, they don't have to give their full name and they're not accountable by not giving a full name?" So the Royal Court of Justice wrote back and said, "No, we apologise. You know, that judge has obviously made a mistake, but this is the full name of this judge, the one that you're asking about." And he wrote back and said, "Oh, right, okay, so what stops this from happening again and administratively, 50 times a day up and down the country?" And they said, "Okay, what we'll do is we'll send an email out to every single judge. When a member of the public asks your full name, you will give it." So I said, "Oh, that's quite interesting, the fact that, this was September of last year, and this judge is still refusing to give a name. Is it public? Is it a case? Well, I don't even know what the hell it is now." But either way, I got the lady to show the document of the article, to point it out to her, but, she just said, "Oh, I don't want to read it." Typical trying to file something in their case, they don't want to know. So I said, "That's fine, so we'll do the powerfulest thing we can. We can write a letter, pen to paper, and write on the, please read the article on the other side of this paper, and I asked you in court today what your name was, and you refused 2-3 times or whatever it was. So I need to know your full name, and then I told her to file it, and she's filed it now. So she should get an answer next week on that. But on the meantime, her Queen's Bench case, she got a letter saying, it was what was it? There was some, and that was it. She received a letter saying they couldn't file it because they didn't have correct payment details in order to take. It was just some really sub story of why they didn't file the Queen's Bench case in time, which I thought, well, okay, brilliant. So now somebody's going to be liable for this. And the fact that the judge knew, because she made a comment on record that there is a case outstanding, whether it was correctly filed at the time or not, administratively, that's not her problem. But she was made aware of it, but she still decided to make a decision based on information, and she thought she'd made a decision herself whether it was relevant or not. So, it's going to be interesting. This lady's really, she's done the worst thing to herself. She's set herself up on more than one way. So I'll keep you informed of that one, but it's going to be quite a funny one. And what else has happened? I can't think of much more. But that's been a jam-packed week.
Lots of thrills and spills, huh?
Say it again?
I said jam-packed, lots of thrills and spills.
Yeah. I've got to tell you, it was just so much fun. In fact, I should tell them about the parking ticket as well.
What's that about? What did you say?
That parking ticket.
Oh, yeah. Do that one. That's a good one.
Okay. That'll give you a chance to make a cup of tea or something. So when I was down in London, I I parked somewhere and I paid like my little pay and display sticker. I put it in there, but obviously not long enough. As some people start to gather now and talk too much. So obviously I came back and it was 9 minutes over, and lo and behold, there's this giant big guy who's basically slapping a ticket on there. And my friend said, "Oh, did you just put the ticket on there?" And he said, "Look, man, I did, but this is my job. I don't mean to, but that's what I'm told to do. So that's what I've got to do to make a living." And I said, "That's okay, man. That's okay. I understand. Everybody's got to make a living, and this is just your living. It's nothing personal." And I shook his hand, and he kind of looked at me and said, "Oh man, nobody's ever shook my hand for giving them a ticket before." And then I said to him, "That's because I know I'm not going to pay it." And then he started laughing and then said, "But seriously, I think you should pay it because I'm only on this end giving the tickets out, but I hear a lot of people can get in trouble from that sort of stuff." I said, "Shall I show you how I'm going to do it?" And he said, "Yeah, go for it." And then what I did was I took about 10 paces back from the car, and then I got my phone out, put the camera mode on, and then I took a picture of the parking ticket on the car. And he looked and said, "What?" He goes, "Why did you do that for? I've already done that." And I said, "Yeah, that's all right, but that's for your case. But I'm about to file the fact that you trespassed with your property on my property." And then he kind of looked at me and thought, "Oh, right, I see. And I goes, "Yes. Yeah, so your picture is being used by you for your case, and my picture will now be used in my case against you, or against the council. Because let's face it, they're not gonna throw you lot under the bus. You make good revenue. So the fact that one or two disappear, that's fine. We'll keep you going out there and generating revenue." And the guy started laughing his head off and said, "Oh, right." He goes, "That's so funny." He goes, I've never thought about it that way before." And then he walked off, and I said, "Brilliant, I'm going to leave this car here now because it's already got a parking ticket, so I might as well stay for another hour." So I did. So I thought that's even funnier because that's actually worked out cheaper for me than what the ticket was. So that's
what I said. We were talking about that before. It's like, yeah, someone just a great big huge bumper sticker across your windshield, or they just put a big old SWAT sticker on the side of your door. That made you upset. So he has no right to make you upset. He has no right to touch your property. So, but somebody here better have a good reason why they touched my property. So, because it made me very upset to come out and see that. It's just like what happened if your kid was sitting someplace, They put a sticker across your kid's forehead, say this kid was sitting here illegally or for too long, or they pick your kid up and take him into custody because they say, "Oh, you weren't watching your kid for 10 seconds, and so now, that's neglect." You got to start teaching these people that they can't touch your property. Let my property, go deal with your own property, but let my property alone. It's not your property. Go find something else to do with your life. And certainly not monitoring my property, touching it, maintaining it. It's none of your business what I'm doing with my property.